Imagine walking into a bustling farmer's market on your daughter's birthday, only to hear her sobbing on the phone, cornered by a pack of judgmental old women calling her unchristian and heartless. That's the nightmare one mom faced, thanks to her scheming ex-in-laws. But hold on, because what she did next. It turned their web of lies into a public spectacle of shame. This is a revenge story that'll have you cheering for justice. That if you've ever been betrayed by family, felt the sting of false accusations, or just crave that sweet taste of karma hitting the bad guys hard, you're in the right place. Smash that like button if you're ready for some emotional payback. Subscribe for more Reddit revenge tales that hit right in the feels, and let's dive into this roller coaster of a story. Imagine this. It's a sunny Saturday morning at a bustling weekend farmer's market, the air thick with the sweet scent of fresh strawberries, the earthy aroma of just-picked vegetables, and the sizzle of hot sausages on grills. Vendors shout out their deals, families laugh as they sample artisanal cheeses, and kids dart between stalls chasing after balloons. But in the midst of this joyful chaos, a 15-year-old girl named Lily clutches her phone, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest, tears blurring her vision as she's surrounded by a circle of stern-faced older women. Their voices rise like a chorus of judgment, accusing her of being heartless, unchristian, and a bad sister to orphaned baby brothers she barely knows. "How can you turn your back on your poor grandparents?" one hisses, her finger jabbing the air like a weapon. Lily's knees buckle, her small frame shrinking under the weight of their glares, the bag of birthday chocolates she'd been so excited about now feeling like a lead weight in her hands. This isn't just a random bullying incident, it's the explosive fallout from a web of family lies, betrayal, and manipulation spun by her paternal grandparents. And standing on the sidelines, racing through the crowd with fire in her veins, is her mother, Sarah, a 46-year-old woman who's already endured more heartache than most could imagine. But what Sarah does in response? Oh, it's the kind of calculated, soul-satisfying revenge that turns victims into victors, exposing secrets in the most public, humiliating way possible. If you've ever felt the burning sting of injustice from those who should protect you, or dreamed of flipping the script on liars who hide behind piety, buckle up. This story will have you gripping your seat, rooting for every twist of the knife. If tales like this fire you up, the ones where the underdog rises with evidence in hand and karma delivers a knockout punch, then smash that like button right now. It tells me you're as invested in these emotional roller coasters as I am. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another Reddit revenge story that dives deep into the psychology of betrayal, resilience, and sweet, sweet payback. Today we're unpacking a narrative that's equal parts heart-wrenching and triumphant, drawn from a raw Reddit post that's got all the elements of a blockbuster drama. Let's peel back the layers and see how one mom's fury transformed into a masterclass in justice. To set the stage properly, we need to go back a bit, before the market meltdown, before the binders of truth, to the foundation of this fractured family. Sarah had built what she thought was a solid life, a stable job as the primary breadwinner, a home filled with the laughter of her two daughters, Emily, 17, and Lily, 15, and a marriage to Tom that, on the surface, seemed unshakable. But surfaces can crack, and Tom's did spectacularly. About a year and a half ago, whispers turned to shouts when Sarah discovered his affair. Not just any fling, this was a full-blown secret life, complete with a mistress and two baby boys born from their illicit union. The shock hit Sarah like a freight train, her world splintering in an instant. Nights blurred into tear-soaked marathons, her mind replaying every suspicious late night at work, every evasive glance. "How could I have been so blind?" she'd whisper to herself in the mirror, her reflection showing dark circles under eyes that once sparkled with trust. Worse yet, it wasn't Sarah who uncovered the affair, it was her daughters. Emily, the older one with a sharp mind and a protective instinct like a lioness, had stumbled upon incriminating texts on Tom's phone while borrowing it for homework. Lily, more innocent and wide-eyed, overheard a hushed phone call that didn't add up. Together, they pieced it together, their young hearts breaking as they realized their dad wasn't the hero they idolized. The confrontation was brutal. Tears, denials, then admissions that shattered the family core. Sarah filed for divorce immediately, her resolve stealing amid the chaos. But fate had a cruel twist. Before the papers could be finalized, Tom died in a tragic accident, leaving behind not just grief, but a tangled mess of orphans, inheritance, and unresolved rage. Enter Tom's parents, the Harlans, Mr. Harlan, 78, a stoic man with a gravelly voice and a Bible always at hand, and Mrs. Harlan, 80, whose sweet grandmotherly facade hid a manipulative streak sharper than a serpent's tooth. They'd known about the affair all along, offering Tom advice and cover instead of condemnation. Boys will be boys, they texted him, encouraging discretion over repentance. When Tom and his mistress both perished, the baby boys were placed with distant relatives, but the Harlans weren't content. They turned their sights on Sarah and the girls, demanding custody with claims that Sarah was unstable, unfit, a woman who'd driven their son to stray. Court dates loomed like storm clouds, each hearing a battle where lawyers dissected Sarah's life, her every decision under scrutiny. Her stomach would not during those sessions, while rising as the Harlans sat smugly, whispering to their attorney. But the harassment didn't stop at legal papers. The Harlans bombarded Sarah with calls and visits, insisting they move into her home, for the family's sake. "We're elderly, we need support," Mrs. Harlan would plead, her voice quivering for effect, while Mr. Harlan nodded solemnly. Sarah's refusals fell on deaf ears. They escalated, guilting the girls directly. Texts to Emily and Lily poured in, "Your baby brothers need you. Why are you so selfish?" One particularly vile message, sent mere days after Tom's funeral, called the girls bastards, and blamed them for his death. "If you hadn't tattled to your mother, he'd still be here," it read. Imagine the gut punch. Emily staring at her screen, fists clenched, a mix of fury and guilt churning inside. Lily curling up in bed, sobs muffled by her pillow, wondering if it was true. The girls' relationship with their grandparents, already strained, snapped like a brittle twig. Therapy sessions became lifelines, where a kind counselor helped unpack the trauma, the betrayal by their father, the cruelty from elders meant to nurture. Sarah watched her daughters transform. Emily growing more guarded, her once open smile now rare. Lily withdrawing into books and art, her birthday wishes shifting from toys to just peace. Sarah's own pain mirrored theirs, a deep ache in her chest that flared with every reminder of Tom's double life. Yet she powered through, her job as a financial analyst demanding focus, her role as mom requiring unbreakable strength. Compounding the mess was the inheritance. Tom had a will naming his parents as beneficiaries, a secret he'd kept from Sarah. She'd assumed it went to the girls as her own will did. But no, the Harlans pocketed his bank account and life insurance, some substantial enough to secure their comfort. Still, they played the poverty card, whining about being left penniless, to anyone who'd listen. Their church became their echo chamber, a conservative congregation where tradition reigned, views on topics like LGBTQ+ rights were rigidly outdated, but infidelity? That was a cardinal sin, condemned equally for men and women. The Harlans, pillars of this community, twisted their narrative to fit, posting on the church's Facebook group a melodramatic tale of woe. Mrs. Harlan's words painted Sarah as infertile, the mistress as a surrogate they'd hired for more children, and the rejection of the boys as gender bias. "Our daughter-in-law abandoned them because they weren't girls," she wrote, tears emoji abound. The lies spread like wildfire, garnering prayers, donations, and outrage from the flock's more zealous members. Sarah's blood boiled reading snippets from a trusted church contact. How dare they, she thought, pacing her living room, the grandfather clock ticking like a countdown to explosion. The injustice gnawed at her, false accusations sullying her name, her daughters portrayed as monsters. But the market incident? That was the spark that ignited the powder keg, pushing Sarah from endurance to action. As we head into the next part, feel that tension building, the calm before the storm where a mother's love turns fierce and unforgiving. The weekend farmers market was a highlight in their small town, a vibrant mosaic of colors, sounds, and smells that turned ordinary Saturdays into adventures. Rows of tents fluttered in the gentle breeze, laden with crates of glossy apples, bunches of vibrant carrots still dusted with soil, and jars of golden honey glistening under the sun. Artisans hawked handmade soaps scented with lavender and citrus, while bakers tempted passers-by with warm loaves of sourdough and flaky pastries dusted with powdered sugar. Children giggled as they fed goats at the petting zoo corner, and musicians strummed guitars, their melodies weaving through the chatter. For Sarah and her girls, it was a sanctuary of normalcy amid their turmoil, a place to forget the court summons and harassing texts, if only for a few hours. This particular weekend held extra magic. It was Lily's 15th birthday. With her party planned later in the month, Sarah wanted to spoil her a bit early. "Here's your budget, sweetie," Sarah said, pressing cash into Lily's palm with a warm smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Go nuts on whatever catches your eye. Chocolates, sweets, maybe some fresh berries for a treat." Lily's face lit up like a sunrise, her braces flashing as she grinned. "Thanks, Mom. This is gonna be awesome." She skipped off, her ponytail bouncing, diving into the sweet section where vendors offered everything from Belgian truffles to homemade fudge swirled with caramel and nuts. Emily tagged along initially, pointing out quirky finds like rainbow popcorn, but soon wandered to browse vintage jewelry stalls, leaving Lily to her sugary quest. Time slipped by, 30 minutes, then 45. Sarah browsed produce, filling her basket with crisp lettuce and heirloom tomatoes, their skins a riot of reds and yellows. But as the hour mark approached, a niggle of worry crept in. "Where is she?" Sarah muttered, scanning the crowds, her pulse quickening. The market was safe, familiar, but a mother's instinct is a powerful thing. Just as she pulled out her phone to call, it vibrated, Lily's name on the screen. Answering, Sarah's heart plummeted at the sound. Sobs, hiccuping breaths, a voice small and terrified. "Mom? Some weird people have me cornered. They're yelling at me, saying I'm bad, unchristian. Please come." Adrenaline surged through Sarah like electricity. "Stay on the line, baby. I'm coming." She grabbed Emily from nearby, her older daughter's eyes widening at the urgency. "Lily's in trouble, run." Together they weaved through the throng, dodging strollers and shoppers, the cheerful atmosphere now a blur of obstacles. Sarah's mind raced. Who would target her girl? What had she done? Her sneakers pounded the dirt path, breath coming in sharp gasps, fear twisting her gut into knots. Finally they spotted Lily, backed against a wooden stall piled with jars of jam, her face streaked with tears, arms wrapped protectively around her bag of treats. Encircling her were 6 older women, their faces etched with disapproval, dressed in modest skirts and blouses, silver hair pinned neatly. The leader, a wiry woman with sharp features and a cross necklace glinting in the sun, leaned in close. "Young lady, it's shameful. Your poor grandparents are suffering, and those orphan brothers of yours, how can you refuse to be a good big sister? God sees your heartlessness." Another chimed in, voice quivering with faux piety. "We've read all about it. You're turning your back on family, on faith. Repent, child." Lily trembled, her lower lip quivering, whispers of, "I didn't do anything," lost in their barrage. The words landed like slaps. Unchristian, selfish, ungrateful. Passers-by glanced curiously, but no one intervened, the scene unfolding like a public trial. Sarah exploded into the fray, shoving past the women with a force born of maternal rage. "Get away from my daughter," she bellowed, positioning herself as a human shield, her body vibrating with fury. Lily clung to her side, burying her face in Sarah's shirt, the scent of chocolate mixing with salty tears. Emily arrived seconds later, face flushed, eyes blazing. "What's going on here?" she demanded, but Sarah waved her off. "Emily, take Lily, pay for her stuff and get to the car. Now." Emily nodded, wrapping an arm around her sister, guiding her away with soothing words. "It's okay, Lil. I've got you." Turning to the women, Sarah's eyes narrowed, recognizing a few from sporadic visits to the Harlan's church, faces she'd seen in pews, mouthing hymns with self-righteous fervor. "How dare you harass a child? Who do you think you are?" Her voice cut through the air, drawing more stares. The leader huffed, crossing her arms. "We're just speaking truth. Your daughter needs to learn respect for her elders, for her family. Those grandparents of hers are heartbroken, and you're to blame, refusing to obey like a good Christian wife." The others nodded, murmuring agreements. "Shameful, ungodly, the Bible says honor thy parents." Sarah's blood boiled, her face heating as if slapped. Internal thoughts swirled. These hypocrites parroting lies fed by the Harlans. She unleashed a verbal torrent, voice rising. "You know nothing. My daughters have been through hell because of that family. Back off before I call the police." The argument escalated, accusations flying like arrows. "You're poisoning those girls," one shouted. "No, you're the poison, bullying a kid on her birthday," Sarah retorted. The market's hum faded, replaced by their shouting match, vendors pausing mid-sale, customers whispering. Security finally intervened, a burly man in a vest stepping in. "Ladies, you're disturbing the peace. Time to leave." Sarah backed away, heart hammering, but the women followed like a flock of persistent crows, their footsteps crunching on gravel, voices trailing. "You'll regret this." She reached the car, slamming the door just as they neared, tires kicking up dust as she sped off. In the rear view, Lily wiped her eyes, Emily held her hand, the silence heavy. "Are you okay, sweetie?" Sarah asked, voice softening. Lily nodded weakly. "They said I hate my brothers, but I don't even know them." "It hurts, Mom." Sarah's grip tightened on the wheel, resolve hardening. This wasn't random, it was orchestrated. That night, After baths and bedtime stories, the girls drifted off, exhaustion claiming them. Sarah couldn't. She paced the kitchen, moonlight filtering through curtains, replaying the scene. Lily's terrified face, the women's smug judgment. Anger simmered, mixed with helplessness. How far would the Harlans go? Logging online, she messaged a church acquaintance, a kind man named Robert who'd always seemed fair. "What happened today?" she typed, detailing the market ambush. His reply came swiftly, apologies first, then revelations. "Your ex-mother-in-law posted a long story in our group. It's got everyone riled up, claiming you're leaving them destitute, that the girls ignore them, even blaming you for losing the grandsons." Sarah's screen glowed with the post's excerpts. A Hallmark-worthy sob story, painting the Harlans as saintly victims. But the twist? To dodge the church's anti-cheating stance, Mrs. Harlan lied boldly. The mistress was a surrogate for Sarah's infertility, the boys rejected for being male. Disgust roiled in Sarah's stomach, accused of gender bias? It was vile, a perversion of truth that twisted her pain into villainy. Robert added, "The extremists are eating it up, offering support." "I'm sorry." Lying in bed, Sarah stared at the ceiling, thoughts churning like a storm. The Harlans had crossed every line. Legal battles, home invasions, now public shaming that endangered her child. "No more," she whispered, a spark of defiance igniting. As sleep finally came, dreams wove plans of exposure, evidence from the divorce files floating like weapons. The next day would bring action, but for now the wound festered, fueling a fire that would soon consume the liar's facade. Dawn broke with a soft glow filtering through Sarah's bedroom curtains, but sleep had been fleeting, haunted by echoes of Lily's sobs and the church lady's accusatory glares. She rose early, the house still quiet, brewing coffee that steamed with a rich, bitter aroma, its warmth a small comfort against the chill of betrayal. Sipping slowly, she reflected on the past year's torrent. Tom's affair unraveling like a cheap sweater, the accident that stole closure, the Harlans' relentless assaults. "They think they can break us," she murmured to the empty kitchen, her voice steady but edged with steel. Today was her day off, no work deadlines, just time to strike back. The market incident had been the final straw, snapping something deep inside, transforming grief into a focused fury. First she checked on the girls. Emily stirred, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Mom, about yesterday?" Sarah hugged her tight. "We're handling it. You focus on school." Lily slept on, peaceful now, but Sarah's heart ached seeing the faint tear stains on her pillow. Therapy had helped, but scars lingered. The girls' trust in family eroded, their innocence tainted. They deserve better, Sarah thought, resolve hardening like concrete. She booted up her computer, diving into the digital vault from the divorce proceedings. Files upon files, timestamps irrefutable, evidence gathered by a private investigator she'd hired in her darkest hour. The photos hit hardest, high-resolution shots of Tom and his mistress, locked in an embrace in their own living room. The woman's dark curls cascaded over olive skin, a stark contrast to Sarah's fair complexion and blonde hair. No mistaking her for a surrogate, the passion in their eyes screamed affair. Sarah's chest tightened, old wounds reopening, but she pushed through. Next, text threats, Tom's confessions to his parents, "Mom, Dad, I messed up but I love her," met with their replies, "We'll help you sort it, son. Keep it quiet." Support for sin, not shame. Then the harassment logs, messages to Sarah, "Drop the divorce, think of the family," laced with veiled threats. But the real daggers were the communications to the girls. Emails and texts bullying them about the baby brothers. "You should love them, their blood." One dated 2 days post-accident, venomous, "You bastards caused this. Telling your mom ruined everything, your father's blood is on your hands." Sarah's eyes burned with unshed tears, imagining Emily's shock reading it, Lily's confusion turning to self-doubt. "Monsters," she whispered, printing previews to test quality. This wasn't just personal, it was psychological warfare, elders weaponizing grief against children. Mid-morning she drove to the print shop, a quaint spot downtown with the hum of machines and the sharp scent of ink. "I need these copied, high-quality, glossy paper," she told the clerk, handing over USB drives. Paying extra for rush service, she waited, nerves buzzing like live wires. "Make them pop," she instructed, envisioning the impact. Back home, the prints spread across her dining table like a war map. Vivid images, crisp texts, every detail screaming truth. Hours melted away as she crafted binders, personalized, deceptive in design. She mimicked the church's hymn packets, embossed covers with floral motifs, tabs labeled innocently. Like prayer books, she chuckled darkly, gluing and organizing meticulously. The first page in each? That damning living room photo, captioned boldly, Tom and Mistress's name, a love story built on lies. Subsequent sections chronicled the affair's timeline, parental complicity, harassment proofs. Sensory details flooded her work. The smooth gloss of paper under her fingers, the click of binders snapping shut, the faint chemical whiff of fresh prints. Internal monologue raced, they hid behind faith, now faith will expose them. Doubt flickered, was this too far? But memories of Lily's terror quashed it. They started this war, she affirmed, stacking the finished products, a dozen in all, neat and unassuming. As afternoon waned, Sarah planned logistics. The church service loomed tomorrow, she'd arrive early, slip in unnoticed. Her trusted contact, Robert, had described the setup. A back desk with songbooks for forgetful attendees, unchecked and accessible. Perfect Trojan horses, she thought, a thrill of anticipation mixing with anxiety. What if caught? Discovery could backfire, fueling more lies. But the risk paled against the reward, public shaming in their sanctuary where hypocrisy would be laid bare. Evening brought family time. Dinner of pasta and salad, laughter tentative but genuine. Feeling better, Lil? Sarah asked. Lily nodded, munching garlic bread. Yeah, but those ladies were mean. Emily scowled, they had no right. Sarah steered conversation light, but inside, strategy solidified. Bedtime hugs lingered, her whispers of love a shield. Alone again, she reviewed binders, heart pounding. This was more than revenge, it was reclamation, purging poison from their lives. The church loomed in her mind, stained glass windows casting rainbow hues, pews filled with the devout, the air heavy with incense and murmured prayers. The Harlans would be there, basking in sympathy. But soon whispers would turn to gasps, support to scorn. Sarah smiled faintly, sleep claiming her at last. Tomorrow the truth would preach its own sermon. Expanding on the emotional layers, Sarah's journey here is a tapestry of pain and power. Betrayal's sting evolves into empowerment, each binder page a step toward healing. The psychology is profound. Underestimation breeds underdogs who bite back hardest. As we transition, feel the suspense. The plan set, execution imminent. What unfolds next will shatter illusions and deliver justice in divine fashion. Sunday morning arrived with a crisp autumn chill, the sky a canvas of soft blues streaked with wispy clouds. Sarah dressed carefully, modest blouse, slacks, hair tied back, to blend into the church crowd. Her heart thudded rhythmically as she loaded the binders into a tote bag, their weight a tangible promise of reckoning. Driving to the church, familiar from reluctant past visits, she navigated quiet streets lined with maple trees shedding golden leaves. The building emerged, a sturdy brick structure with a steeple piercing the sky, parking lot filling with sedans of the faithful. Sarah parked discreetly, checking her watch. Service in 30 minutes, plenty of time. Slipping inside through a side door, the foyer welcomed her with the scent of polished wood and fresh flowers adorning tables. Hymns practiced faintly from the sanctuary, voices harmonizing in devotion. The back desk stood unguarded, stacks of songbooks neat and inviting. Sarah's pulse quickened, she glanced around, no eyes on her. Casually, she interspersed her binders among the hymn packets, their covers identical enough to pass inspection. Like planting seeds of truth, she thought, a mix of exhilaration and nerves bubbling. What if someone flipped one open early? But the risk fueled her. She exited swiftly, driving home with hands trembling on the wheel. Back in her kitchen, Sarah paced, coffee in hand, imagining the scene unfolding. Parishioners arriving, elderly couples shuffling in, families with children in Sunday best, the Harlans perhaps greeting with feigned humility. Someone forgets their book, reaches for a binder. Pages turn, eyes widen at the photo. Tom and his mistress, intimate and undeniable. Gasps ripple, whispers spread like flames on dry grass. Sarah's phone buzzed midday. Robert, it's chaos. People are furious. She grinned, tension easing slightly. The Facebook group exploded by afternoon, notifications pinging relentlessly as Sarah monitored anonymously. Posts poured in, adulterer. How could Tom betray his wife? That woman, a Jezebel, leading him astray. The language escalated, forcing the pastor's intervention. Keep it civil, brothers and sisters. But sin must be called out. Laughter escaped Sarah, hypocrisy at its finest. Yet the tide turned hardest on the Harlans. They knew? Supported it? Blaming the girls? Calling them bastards? Unforgivable. Outrage mounted, comments dissecting the evidence. Texts highlighted, photos scrutinized. Mrs. Harlan's responses faltered, defensive at first, then silent. Sarah pictured her, face paling at the screen, hands shaking, Mr. Harlan muttering beside her. Their sob story post, once showered with hearts and prayers, now buried under condemnations. Liars in the house of God, one read. Shame on you for abusing those poor children. The church's strict anti-cheating doctrine backfired spectacularly. No surrogate tale could hold against glossy proofs. By evening, whispers of their shunning circulated. The pastor called a meeting, but the damage was done. The Harlans, once pillars, now pariahs. Mrs. Harlan's personal wall bore a final, pitiful post. I feel so alienated. No one cares for the elderly anymore. If only our great son was alive, he'd care for us. Sarah scoffed. Tom, the freeloader she'd supported? Delusional. Apology letters arrived days later, handwritten on church stationery. Sincere regrets to the girls, invitations for Sarah to join for healing support. Even in contrition, a jab. Her divorce understandable, but a failure she might redeem. The victory washed over Sarah like a cleansing rain, relief loosening knots in her shoulders. Hugging her daughters that night, she shared lightly, "Those mean people? They got what's coming." Emily smirked, "Good." Lily beamed, "Thanks, Mom." The emotional payoff was profound, validation after months of gaslighting, power reclaimed from powerlessness. Word count, 850, but wait, this part is shorter because I need to adjust. Actually, expand more. To reach 850, add more details. Describe the church interior in depth. The creak of wooden doors, the echo of footsteps, the murmur of pre-service chatter. Elaborate on Sarah's internal fears during placement. Sweat beading on her brow, breath held as a deacon passes nearby. Dive deeper into group reactions. Quote fictional posts, show escalating drama. Explore Sarah's post-execution emotions. Guilt flickering then fading, triumph swelling. Discuss psychological shift, from victim to avenger, tapping fairness instincts. Expanded version continues seamlessly. The sanctuary's vaulted ceiling loomed, Bible verses etched on walls. Sarah's sneakers squeaked softly on tile, bag heavy. Placement done, she exhaled sharply outside, wind tousling hair. Home, anxiety peaked, refreshing feeds obsessively. Outburst details. A woman fainting at the photo, another confronting Harlan's mid-service. Virtual mob. Hypocrites. Excommunicate them. Pastor's plea ignored. Harlan's downfall visceral. Friends distancing, invites revoked. Sarah's catharsis. Tears of release, laughter bubbling. Girls' healing accelerated, therapy sessions lighter. Justice's sweetness lingered, a balm on wounds. With the binder's revelations rippling through the church like shock waves, the aftermath unfolded in waves of delicious irony and profound relief. Sarah monitored from afar, her anonymous account a window into the unraveling. The pastor's moderation posts pleaded for temperance, but the flock's fury was unleashed. "This is betrayal of biblical proportions," one elder typed, attaching scripture on adultery. Another, "Those poor girls, abused by their own kin. God have mercy." The Harlans' attempts at damage control floundered. Mrs. Harlan's replies, once eloquent, devolved into rambling defenses. "You don't know the full story." But evidence silenced doubters. The prints too clear, timelines too damning. By midweek, shunning was official. Whispers in town, the Harlans skipping services, their usual front pew seats empty. Neighbors gossiped over fences, the scandal juicy fodder. Sarah received calls from distant acquaintances. "Heard what happened, good for you." Validation coursed through her, a warm glow countering years of doubt. The custody battle shifted too. Her lawyer noted the Harlans' weakened position, public opinion swaying judges. "This could end it," he said. Sarah nodded, hope blooming. Emotionally, the payoff was intoxicating. Nights once sleepless now brought peace, dreams of empowerment replacing nightmares. Lily's birthday party later shone brighter, no shadows of fear. Emily opened up more, her guard lowering. Therapy delved deeper, unpacking Triumph's psychology. Revenge as therapy, justice restoring balance. Sarah reflected, "We weren't broken, we were bent, now straightened." The story's moral resonates. Truth wields power, especially against facades of piety. Karma's wheel turns, delivering to bullies what they sow. If this saga stirred your sense of fairness, ponder, how does exposure heal hidden wounds? If chills ran down your spine from this tale of binders and backlash, smash like and comment your own revenge wins. Subscribe for more, justice awaits.